Okay, so folks are coming in.
Okay.
I see that little number starting to tick up.
Oh, yes, I do too.
Welcome, everyone. We'll give it about a minute or so to let everybody get in. Welcome, everyone. We're just kind of enjoying the silence as everyone comes in. We'll give another 30 seconds or so for everybody to get in. I tried to have a poll for everybody. When it deleted it the second time, I decided I wasn't doing it.
Same on my end of the presentation as well, just FYI to everybody. But if you have any questions or thoughts or concerns, feel free to hop over to the chat. Nina and I are both going to try our best to monitor it. Mine's being a little funky, so if it takes a minute, I apologize.
Yeah, we try to leave a little time at the end in case there are questions if we don't, if we can't bounce back and forth seamlessly and not be clunky. So, all right, we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. I'm Nina Crutchfield. I work with the National FFA organization as a state relations specialist. I know I've met a lot of you over the years getting to work with the state of Tennessee, and so I'm excited. And with me today, actually the host, I'm the co-host, the host is Brittany Davis. I know all of you know her really well. She's one of our teacher ambassadors, and so we're teaming up today to talk about SAEs for all and the resources that are available for everyone to really kick up a notch. So I said a few seconds ago, I tried to do a poll, but it erased it twice, and so I decided I wasn't doing it again. I was hoping to kind of get a temperature check of everybody that's participating, kind of see where you are in delivering SAEs. So it could have been multiple choice. You could have chosen I know nothing, all the way to I'm a rock star and I can get paid extra for all the SAE stuff. So I don't know where you are on that spectrum. But I suspect everybody falls in there somewhere. So we're not going to really hash out necessarily exactly what SAE is, just knowing that it's the third component of our school-based model of ag education. It's the work-based learning, the experiential learning, all those wonderful names that we call it. But it boils down to those hands-on activities. And I think probably going into this fall, that's going to be a huge component, more so than usual, being able to lean on with our students, something to do, especially if you're having to operate in the virtual realm even part of the time or, you know, all of the time. We're not sure what it's going to look like, I don't think, anywhere across the country. But we're going to launch into that. We're going to do mostly screen shares, so we can bounce back on that, back and forth. I'm going to go ahead and pop mine open for you.
Hey, Nina, your mic is cutting out in and out a little bit. Just FYI. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything that you can do to adjust that on your end.
Oh, well, I will talk slower. Maybe it will catch up with me. Thanks for the heads up, though. While you're talking here in a few minutes, I may switch over to my phone. Maybe that'll make it a little easier. So can you see my screen, Brittany? Okay, good deal. So this is the SAEforall.org website. The Council for Ag Education has really put us into this realm. I mean, they've created this website and it's really great and easy to navigate. And then a lot of the resources are housed at FFA.org that Brittany's going to show you. I actually preloaded 3 pages so it would go a little bit faster. And unfortunately, that little toolbar from Zoom is right in the middle of it. So excuse me for a second while I rearrange my screen so I can navigate. So when you click on the buttons down at the bottom, you have the Educator tab, the Student tab, and I'm new here. So when you hit the I'm new here, you get some explanations. And so this is a really great graphic that the council put together to kind of lead students through the different phases of choosing an SAE. And you'll notice if you haven't read through these materials, the idea of a foundational SAE may be kind of new to you. The idea that every student, every day, and every class has an SAE I don't know that we've always been very successful at implementing that as educators. And so hopefully these materials will help you do that, and you'll quit beating yourself up because you haven't done it in the past. Launching into those foundational pieces around career exploration and planning, employability skills, personal finance, workplace safety, ag literacy, you probably say, I'm already doing all of that. Well, if you're already doing that in every class, every semester or year, depending on how your classes are broken up, then you're covering SAE. And you should be proud of yourself. You should look at that and say, yes, every student in my class is actually learning and engaging those things. And stop beating yourself up and thinking, well, because not every kid has a show animal or is working at the local feed store or something like that, that they don't have an SAE. The reality is they do have a foundational SAE. These are the components that every student is supposed to learn in our program in every class. So take the time to really kind of look at that and evaluate it. If you're wanting to kick it up a notch, you're wanting to change things up, you're tired of the way you've been doing it, you need to do the online version this fall. Those materials already exist for you. You don't have to recreate things. You don't have to start from scratch. So Brittany's going to show you where all of those things are. If you pop into the educator side of the website, you see this graphic. And so this kind of pulls it all together, I think. You'll notice those foundational pieces are the top arrow, and you can see they're little different colors to help you visually separate those out. But you notice as you move from left to right, you move from the awareness stage to the intermediate stage to the advanced stage. So there is something in these learning guides built for every stage of a student coming into your program. And this is perfect for those students who maybe only pop in for a semester or a year and you never see them again. You shouldn't have to worry, but it may be possible that you could do an immersion style SAE, the one you're traditionally familiar with, but you don't have to because you're covering all of these things already in class, the arrow with the career exploration down to ag literacy. When we break into a deeper form of ag literacy is when we really start to go into those immersions. And these are the ones, of course, that we're probably the most familiar with, whether it be placement or ownership. We've got students doing agri-science. Two new ones that maybe we haven't been quite as fluent in understanding and using is school-based enterprise and service learning. We'll talk a little bit more of those at the end. But I would encourage you to look at these guides and the rubrics and the suggested activities and figure out, how do I move that student from a placement SAE into an internship? And there's a difference. How do I move them from an ownership? Maybe they've only got, 1, 2, 4 show animals into a true entrepreneurship style SAE, because I tell teachers all the time, students are going to live 50 miles from where they grew up. They need to be the future employers in their communities. We need to give them a leg on how to do this. And there are actually some financial resources out there to help our students if we just take advantage of it. And then the last two we'll talk towards the end. So Brittany, I'm going to turn it to you to kind of run through the resources that are existing. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I am probably going to switch my audio, so I might blink, okay?
Okay. All right, while Nina's getting her stuff adjusted. So again, my name's Brittany Davis. I'm serving as a National FFA Teacher Ambassador. This is my 4th year serving. Several of y'all I've seen in workshops before over the years. Just FYI, this is my first presentation that I've given virtually, so if it totally bombs, I'm sorry. But I'm gonna do the best that I possibly can. I'm definitely not a tech guru by any means. I'm going to talk about a couple of different resources that you can find on FFA.org that will kind of put this stuff into practice of what Nina's talked about. And then I'm going to share some additional resources that I personally like to use in my classroom when I'm doing my SAEs. I'm going to attempt to share my screen. We'll see if this works. Can you guys see my screen? I know it's being a little slow at the moment. I usually have great internet at home, and then of course the day that I actually need it, it decides to lag a little bit. So I apologize in advance for that.
That's how it always is.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to go a step back. So these resources that I'm going to share are all found on FFA.org. Again, it might lag a little bit, so I apologize ahead of time.
Brittany, didn't you also put them in the document section on the platform?
I did. Yep. So we can just kind of go through those. I've got them pulled down at the bottom, so we can just kind of peruse through them, and once my internet starts to work again on that end, I can show you where they're actually found. So the first thing that I'm going to show you guys are a couple of lesson plans that can be found on FFA.org, and like I said, I'll hop over there when I get a chance to. But this first one is called SAE, What Should I Do? And these lesson plans are great. They have lesson plans for all types of different subjects, and I love using them in my classroom because it takes out that extra work that we as teachers usually have to do as far as lesson planning. And it's actually already got time required on here. It's got the actual worksheets and everything that goes into it. So this one I feel like would be a good starter point for talking about SAEs within your classroom. So this is really going to focus on different ideas for projects. This is going to have students actually create SMART goals, which are great because these SMART goals can be implemented in other areas, such as if you decide to have students work on proficiency applications or have students apply for SAE grants and things of that nature, they're going to have to use SMART goals. So this lesson really teaches the students what a SMART goal is and how it's set up. So if you scroll through this, and I actually have these in the files too on the platform, so if you want to download them from there, you're more than welcome to do that as well. So it breaks down the lesson into the introduction, the activities, follow-ups, and it actually has a level up too. So if you want to take it a step further, you can do that, and almost all of these lesson plans have that as well. So this lesson just really focuses on different project ideas, and it's actually got links to project idea videos, which I'll show you where the videos are at in just a second. And the students can go through and actually do these worksheets. It's got the answer key or a side of an answer key. Of course, it can look a little different depending on what the students choose to put in there, but it's got that included. And then down here is where you have your goals. So this is where you're going to include those SMART goals that we talked about. And the kids are actually going to create their own SMART goals for a potential SAE project. And then down here, it goes a little bit further, and students are actually creating a timeline of specific activities that they want to complete within their SAE program. So I like to use this with my freshmen or my first year FFA kids that are coming in. I've had some kids that come in as sophomores and juniors that, you know, may have missed freshman year. But this is really great to get those SAE programs actually started and then kind of build from there. The next lesson that I'm going to share with y'all is this lesson plan, and this just kind of piggybacks off of that one a little bit. You definitely don't have to do all of these. I don't implement all of them. I just kind of pick and choose, and I kind of create my own. So I'll take some activities from some of these lessons and then some activities from others and kind of mesh them together. But this one goes a little bit further into different careers. So this is based off of one of the American Star and Agribusiness winner videos that are on FFA.org. So the students would actually watch the video, which would be great for those of y'all that are in virtual school. You can use some of these resources in that aspect too, and still be able to teach about SAEs. So down through here, they'll watch the video and answer the questions, fill in the graphic organizers, and this kind of takes it a step further into developing career interests, because that's the whole point of having an SAE program, or what we want the point to be. We want these students to, number one, find something that they're interested in. We don't want them to choose a project that they're going to hate the whole entire time, because it's going to be like pulling teeth trying to get the students to do it. And then from that, We want them to grow this program, which is what Nina talked about in her part of the presentation, is growing that basic level SAE program up to a proficient level of a program by the time they're juniors or seniors in high school, or even older than that. And then I've got a couple of other lesson plans included in the files. You're more than welcome to use those. One of them's geared more towards SAE grants. So that way, if you have students that are wanting to fill out for SAE grants, that kind of outlines a little bit for you. I'm not going to share it on the screen, but it's there in files if you want to use it. My next resource that I want to share, though, I love using this. So this is SAE video choice boards. So some of y'all may use choice boards in your classroom. I was not a big choice board user. Honestly, I didn't really know what they were until I became involved in the ambassador program a couple years ago, and I love them now. I use the FFA choice board when I'm going over my FFA unit, and then I incorporate this one for SAEs as well. So it has directions on here. You assign what date you want to be completed, and then it's got links for kids as they're going through and actually doing the activities where they can find the videos on FFA.org. And then it's got the activity sheets included as well. And it's got it broken down into different plans. So you can do a 6-week version of the plan. So basically the students are assigned 6 weeks to complete these boxes. Now, I don't have them do just this for 6 weeks. We might do this every Friday, and they have to choose a box to do. But you can set it up however you want. If you wanted to spend 6 straight weeks on this and take it even further, you're more than welcome to do that. This is yours to implement how you see fit. But it goes a little more advanced through these boxes as you make your way down the choice boards, and it has directions for the student as to how many they need to do in each category. And all of it is related to SAE programs. And then they also have the 9-week plan if you want to make it a little bit longer. They've got semesters as well broken down. So lots of different ways that you can make it your own, really. And then they have it broken down into quarters as well, depending on how your schedule is set up. So I'm going to keep scrolling, and all these boxes are the same. It's just broken down into your own physical time frame that you want to make. And then once we get down here, this is where they're actually going to put their answers in. So they already have answer documents in this lesson plan that you just give the kids. You could even implement this in a virtual way if you wanted to do that instead. But this is where the students would put their answers for those boxes that we saw, depending on which version you choose to do within your classroom. And down through here, this is all of their answer documents. So I'm going to hop over to my next one. Now, this is my favorite. I've actually been using these since before I became an ambassador. I love these things. So these are SAE Idea Cards. And the way that I use these in my classrooms, I've done it 2 different ways. Number one, these can be accessed just like this on a PDF file on FFA.org. And you can print them off, cut them out, and laminate them, and then you have them forever. But this past year, we actually became, within our high school, became a 1-to-1 school. So every one of our students had computers, and so I've done it digitally before too, where students just access the PDF file, just like it looks on my screen at the moment, and have them do it that way. So there's different ways that you can choose to do it. I'm going to scroll back up to the top. So these idea cards are exactly what it sounds like. They are different SAE programs within the different categories, and it just kind of gets the kids jogging their brain a little bit of what an SAE could be, because SAE, we know, does not necessarily mean that you are working on a farm. There's lots of different areas that we can incorporate SAE programs. And so this activity does a really good job of just opening up not only the students' minds, but there's lots of programs in here that I would have never even thought of as an SAE project that I've learned about while doing this with the students.
And I absolutely love them too, using them to teach myself undergrads that you can actually sort these by immersion SAE. So when the students move from that foundational piece of exploration and they actually pick a type of SAE they want to do, there are options. You know, in the ownership entrepreneur, there's probably 70 different cards that will fit into that area. So it gives them the idea that there's more to ownership and entrepreneurship than just owning livestock. You know, there's a lot of other things that they can do. So it really expands their ideas, and the teachers too, mine, because I haven't read through all of them, and I'm always surprised every now and then they come across one, they ask me, I'm like, oh gosh, I haven't seen that one yet. So it's really a neat resource.
And the way that I implement this in the classroom, aside from just having either the laminated copies and having them in small groups or having it up on a computer screen, regardless of which way I choose to do it, I usually partner them up in small groups individually. They'll start out individually, and I have them choose one card that they think would be interesting of a program that they would find an interest in each of the different categories. And the categories are agribusiness, ag communications and education, animal systems, biotech systems, environmental service systems, food products and processing systems, natural resource systems, plant systems, and power, structural, and technical systems. So I have them choose one thing out of each of those categories, and once all the students have chosen one in each category that they find interesting, I'll put them into small groups, and then we will have a discussion within those small groups. So the students will share which ones they chose and why, and how they could physically implement that, or how they would have to go about implementing that type of program. And so they just kind of bounce ideas off of each other. And then I don't have anything to share for this one. This one is just what I do within my classroom. That's not necessarily a lesson itself found on FFA.org. So every year, and I've been doing this since my first year of teaching, every student is required to have some type of SAE project. Now, whether that is a project that's going to be an outstanding proficiency award, or it's just, you know, them working in a garden at home. I don't really care as long as it fits the guidelines of what I require. So I require them to complete so many hours within the school year. We do a checkpoint grade in December because we're on 7 class periods all year long. So we do a checkpoint grade in December, and they have a rubric that they have to follow of what's due by then, and they have a record book that they keep up with. And then by the end of the school year, they have to have completed the set amount of hours that I've given them, along with the record book being completely done. And that includes pictures and descriptions and them logging in their hours and things like that. And then I make them create some type of presentation. And I'm kind of lenient on what the presentation is, because I know some students are great at technology, so I'll allow them to do PowerPoints. I've had kids do big posters before. They can even write an essay, so that way I can kind of hit all the different interest areas that the kids may learn best with. So they turn that in, but before we do all that, I usually bring out my projects from the previous years. I always try to save some really good ones at the end of the school year. And so I break those out right when we start going over SAE programs, and I have them set up all around the room, and we do kind of like a gallery walk. So I have the students walk around, choose their top 3 favorite ones that they've seen. Usually it's my poster ones that I save, just because PowerPoints are hard to save and hard to get up there for the kids to see and things like that. So we do a gallery walk, and then we just have a class discussion, and then that's when I go into this part of these lessons and everything. I'm going to see, let's see, I might just exit out. I'm going to see if I can get FFA pulled up, if it'll work.
While you're doing that, Brittany, I'll share. I've seen a lot of teachers kind of do something similar to your gallery walk, promoting previous students' SAEs. And so they'll have, whether it's in the shop facilities or the cafeteria, it's always kind of nice when they do it in a greater school, because then everybody gets to see them. But it reminds me kind of like the Agri-Science Fair, except it's SAE Fair. And so they showcase all of the different things that they've done over the last few years related to SAEs, and it gets the newer students really excited, and maybe even students who are experienced, they can come up with some new ideas. You know, maybe they want to change, they're tired of what they're doing. And it's a great way to do it. I've seen them do it during FFA week, so it's one whole day of SAE showcase, and they even have maybe some guest speakers come in different career areas through that day. Emily Bailey used that in Colorado. I got to go during FFA week one year and see that. It was pretty impressive, and she not only involved her own students, but she brought in, it was a K-12 school, so she brought in some of the younger students in like the junior high age, middle school age, and really showcased her program as a recruiting tool. And the community members that were involved in agriculture really saw it as a chance to do some community outreach and promote their programs. Yeah, it had everybody from extension to the local veterinarian involved. So it was a pretty cool deal. And even better was that her students arranged all of it. She was not in charge. So working smarter, not harder, having those students engage those community members as well. So would you like me to share my screen, Brittany, and you can walk me through?
I think I finally got it to work. We'll see. It might not work the whole time.
Let's give it a shot.
All right. Okay, can you see it?
I can.
Perfect. Okay, so this is FFA.org, and to find these resources, you actually don't have to log in anymore. I know most of y'all are probably aware that the website went under some changes about a year and a half ago. So a lot of this stuff you don't even have to sign in to access. The first thing that I'm going to take you to is if you go to Explore FFA, this is where you can find everything, and then kind of go from there on these tabs. So the first thing is an FFA Video Center. So I'm going to click there and show you what pops up. So this is where all of the FFA videos are housed. So there's lots of different SAE videos that you can access on here that have been housed for years and years, actually. So we've had a couple of students that were fortunate enough to get interviewed through National FFA, so that was a great experience for the students, and it's all based on their SAE programs. And if my internet will allow me, I'll show you just a little clip of what that kind of looks like. But the reason I wanted to show you these was because there are these worksheets, and I'll show you how to get to these in just a second. These are just generic worksheets. So these worksheets could work with any SAE video that is within this program. And it's just, again, very generic, very basic, but it allows the students, again, to see some different SAE ideas that, just like them, other students have actually implemented in what they do within their program. So it talks about, they get to circle what area it's in, 3 things that they learned, different vocabulary. Basically, they're summarizing the whole video in their own words within this worksheet. And I really like it because it can overlap with all of them. Let's see. There it is. Okay. So here's an SAE for all tab, like Nina was speaking about. So it's got video resources for that. The one that I was speaking on was the SAE video library. So if you click here, it'll take you to all types of different videos that have been produced by National FFA and published for anybody to access. Even your students can access this. So if they have their own laptops at school, or if you're doing the virtual learning, you can incorporate this as well. So this is where that video sheet is at. It's right here. There's additional activity sheets that you can incorporate as well. Some of the lesson plans that are shared are housed in here. The choice board is also housed in here as well. So this is like a one-stop shop for everything that I shared. And then there's other ways that you can get to it too. So through here, we've got videos. This was the one that I was going to show you. I don't know if it'll let me since my internet's being wonky, but as you can see, it's got different ones in different areas. You've got ag mechanics, you've got animal systems. Ben's that I was going to show you was him working at his family's marina at the lake. And then if you scroll through here, there's all kinds of cool ones that, again, you may not have thought of as an actual SAE program. I'm scared that my internet's going to.
And I tell you, the teachers for years have been asking for this. And so we finally convinced our marketing folks to start doing these things. The development team went out, and these are just regular SAEs, y'all. These are not the Star American Farmers and those kinds of things, because that's intimidating for most of our students. These videos are just average students working their SAEs, highlighting what they do, what they're learning, what they're going to get out of it. Are they going to post-secondary? I hope if you're not using them that you will go forward and use them, because they really are fantastic. And it inspires kids to think about what they could possibly do, or even, oh my gosh, I'm already doing that. So yeah, your SAE is there.
And just a side plug while I click on here, if you have any SAEs that you think are awesome that you don't see videos for, reach out to National FFA. They love to travel. They actually when they came down to McMinn, they made a big road trip out of it. So they stopped at several different places along the way. When they were leaving us, they were going to some different places on the way back home. And while they were here, they interviewed students at McMinn Central High School and at McMinn County as well. So they'll definitely make it worth your while, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, we try to hit multiple chapters in a trip. I don't want everybody to think that they're just out sightseeing.
Yeah, exactly. So if you click back on that Explore FFA tab and you click on Educator Resources, if it'll let me, there it goes. So this is another way that you can access those resources that I mentioned for SAEs. If you don't remember where to get to for that video center, you can click on here. And under Educator Resources, there's a search bar, if it'll pull up, where you can actually type in, if you'll just type in SAE at the bottom of that search bar down below, it's not going to let me do it. If you do that,
I think you have to do what you did a while ago. You have to stop sharing and then share and reshare. A lot of times. Well, maybe it's going to do it. Maybe we'll see. If
we'll
not,
see.
we'll try that. Very good. Okay.
Okay, so once you pull this up, this is the Educator Resources page, and if you'll scroll down, and of course right here, it's got some of the most popular tabs, and this is where you'll find any and all resources that National FFA has published. So lots of different things. Here's SAE for All, so it's got a direct tab for some of those things that Nina was speaking about. And then what I was referring to is, I don't use the search bar at the top of the website because I have a hard time finding exactly what I'm looking for, especially if I don't know the exact name of the document that I'm looking for. So if you'll go to this search bar at the bottom, and if you want to just type in SAE and then submit it, it will pull up all documents, lesson plans, videos, anything that relates to SAE at your fingertips, and it'll eliminate some of that other stuff that would pop up if you use that top search bar near the dashboard. So once you scroll down, you've got all types of stuff. You've got your SAE for All, you've got different videos, you've got teacher guides, all kinds of things that you can choose from that all deal directly with SAEs. And then something else that I forgot to mention, the SAE videos are actually available in Spanish too. So if you have students that English is not their first language, they can actually access those in Spanish and be able to do the lesson as well in Spanish instead of English.
And I tell teachers, even more importantly, it's in Spanish for their parents, because you're trying to help parents understand why they need this project or why they need to be doing these other things. Having it in Spanish, and we did that last summer, brought in 4 students, 2 from Puerto Rico, 2 from New Mexico, and dubbed a good portion of them, not 100%, but probably about 80% of them are dubbed in Spanish. So it's really, I think, more for those parents to help them understand what you're trying to do with your students. So use them that way too.
All right, and that's actually everything that I had to share on my list. I know that was super fast, and I know my computer was lagging a little bit, so I apologize, but unless Nina has anything else to share at the moment, if you guys have any questions, please send us to them send them to us in the chat.
Yep, and while Brittany's taking a second to look over at that, I want to kind of walk through the learning guides. So you've got all of those great extra materials to share with the students, but I want to make sure that you're aware of the learning guides. So back on the SAE for All website, when you click onto the Teacher Educator tab on that underneath the 3-component model, you come to this screen and it has the foundational ones and the immersion ones. So you've got the teacher guides. You can see right where it says Independent Learning Guide Teacher Edition, that first green square. You've got an entire thing for you as the teacher. It's broken out by grade level for the students, and you'll notice that there's the guide and then there's those activities that Brittany was showing you. So they're here as well, kind of in another one place. Depends on how your brain works, If you're more linear and you like this kind, you got it in this. If you like to kind of bounce around, you can use the FFA site. The immersion guides, same things. We've got those for you as teachers, and then we've got below that student editions. Now, they don't have the activity guides yet for those. It takes a while to create those, and so they're loading them as they get them done. As you can imagine with the COVID thing, they kind of went on the back burner for a little bit, and they've been trying to swap over as many of our materials into a virtual environment as they can. And you saw the table of contents there, the screen that Brittany was showing you. You can get to those real easy from there. So these are really fantastic pieces. You can print them off. You can use them in the virtual environment. You can load them into your Google Classroom, whatever works for you, whatever mode of medium you're using. Now, on the student side, when we switch over there for them, you'll notice they don't have the teaching guides. It's not that they can't get to them, because there's no password protection on any of this. It's just that we've put it in, and they click I'm a student, and this is the screen they get to. The piece I want to point out on their screen is this online learning module. So, thinking this fall virtual world that we may all be in for at least part of the time, this is a virtual self-directed learning module that they can walk themselves through. And it takes them from the very beginning of foundational SAE all the way through to what immersion SAEs are. So I wanted to show that to you. And then Brittany pointed out the library. We've got the idea cards. Those are also linked on this page too. If you've got any students who think they might want to be an auctioneer, they've actually created, the Auctioneer Association was the very first one to jump on board with this. They've created an SAE kit around auctioneering. So students can go in and it takes them through the process of actually becoming a certified auctioneer. I suppose as a teacher, you could use it too if you wanted to do it, but it's geared towards students, of course. So know that that is here as well on the student page. The last box is both on student and teacher page is the SAE network. So you've got the Safety and Agriculture for Youth. Those of us who've been around for a little while, we remember a few years back where we had to battle the Department of Labor. They wanted to make farm kids non-exempt in labor laws, which, meant students couldn't have worked for their parents, their grandparents, aunt and uncle, or whatever out on the farm. Part of getting that defeated, was we had to kick up our game teaching safety. So the clearinghouse for SAE, Safety and Agriculture for Youth, has lessons of all sorts of topics, different angles, all created. It's a clearinghouse for you to go in and use as you wish. Every SAE needs to have safety worked into it. It's one of those main foundational pieces. We don't think about safety a lot of times unless it's a dangerous situation, but even internet safety. Not looking at your phone while you're walking downstairs is safety. So there's a lot of different lessons in there that can be used with our students in all grade levels. Now I wanted to open a couple of those guides. Oh, here's the online learning module. My apologies. I forgot I had opened it. So this, when they click on that module, you've got a start course button, and it's built on the RISE platform, and it walks them through all of it. It's got the videos embedded. It's all right there for them. They can go linear or they can jump around. It's totally up to however they want to work through the process. And when they complete it, they can generate a certificate, turn it in for their grade, however you want to do it. Now, when you open those guides, this one right here is for school-based enterprise. So I wanted to show you what's in here that is all of the materials that Brittany showed you complement this. So they've already outlined what activities would need to happen for students to have a school-based enterprise SAE. Now, this is an area where students can work together. We do SAE as individual projects. We haven't really embraced, I suppose, the group project necessarily. I know I co-opted my greenhouse. Best thing I ever did. I never had to work in my greenhouse another day. The students fought over getting to work in it because they were going to make the money from the product. They sold shares. They had a board of directors. All I did was facilitate the process. And that's really what a school-based enterprise should be. It's not teacher run. It's not me running the business and the kids are working for me. That would just be a placement SAE. It's the students running it. And so you'll see this walks them through the steps of actually creating that school-based enterprise. Now, they don't have to create one every year. It could be an ongoing thing. but they need to go through the process, do the feasibility study, look at the benefits of what the enterprise would be, what skills can students gain through that, analyze their market, develop a business plan, identify a board of directors, and then do a pitch session to get funding. They got to have some startup funding. You could do this with a CSA, community supported ag project. You could do it out of the shop. You could do it out of the greenhouse, whatever facilities you have. Now, granted, our virtual online situation might be a little bit more difficult, but it could be an AgCom SAE going forward, because you can do a lot of that online. So there's lots of different ways for students to embrace this idea of a school-based enterprise.
Hey,
the other one
sorry.
Yeah.
We had a question about how long does it take to do those online modules that you were referring to?
They're self-paced with a student, so it's going to be up to them. If you've got one that's just really all in, they might go through them all in one day, or they can chunk it up and do a little at a time as you assign it. So it's totally up to however you want to work it. That's kind of the neat thing about it. I highly recommend as teachers you go through them yourself. Work through the modules, see what it is. You'll go faster than students will, obviously. You could create some extra activity sheets that go with it just to validate that they're actually going through them and learning the objectives that you want them to. Totally up to you on how you want to structure and use it. All right. Any other questions on that one, Brittany, before I keep moving?
I don't see any in the chat. I think that was the only one that popped up.
Perfect. All right. So service learning. I think this is the other one. We've had kids doing service. We've done service learning, but we've not made an SAE project out of it, I don't think, or we've not done it very well. So in the student guide, I've got I think this is like page 3. It has what service activity it would be, the learning that would be extended through that service activity, and then how do we turn it into a service learning project or SAE. So there's examples in here for you to kind of look through, work with a student if they think service is where their passion lies and they really want to create a service SAE. It's more than just community service. I always tell teachers and students all the time, service learning is a process, not an event. A service project is an event. Picking up trash is an event. We need to extend that activity into a process of actually addressing the needs in a community and figuring out how to create events around that. Multiple events, not just one. I'm going to slide down the screen, hopefully not make anybody too seasick in it. But the next page talks about the different steps that a student would go through in a service learning SAE. So they've got to have a plan. It's detailed out, what are their objectives? What events do they want to do? What need are they trying to address? They need to have a stakeholder committee, so adults in the community. That could be some people at the school, some officials. It could be parents. It could be community business owners. It could be the local food bank managers. Whatever need they're trying to address, they need to have adults in a committee to help guide them through that. Again, it's student-led. It's not to say that they couldn't involve other FFA members in their projects. I highly recommend, that's a quick, easy access. You have students doing it. I mean, we've seen stories of our FFA members that are making masks, and they're handing them out in their community. Let's take that service project and let's kick it up a notch. Let's figure out how we make that a bigger project and address a greater need than just the one-time thing. And then, of course, reflection is a part of that. How did it go? Is there a different angle I need to go? It's the process that service organizations go through regularly when they do something. So it's helping them work through that process. And, there's lots of careers out there around this. So if you've got students who feel this is really important and that's part of where their heart is and they want to make a career out of it, encourage them. I know teachers sometimes, what FFA awards attached to this? Well, right now, it takes a constitutional amendment to change degree requirements, but we were able to implement the service learning proficiency this year. So hopefully you saw that if you had students filling those out. School-based enterprise, a little bit harder. taken staff a little bit longer to figure out how do we recognize multiple students for something versus the single student system that we already have built. So, but it's going to happen. It's just going to take a little bit longer to put out there if that's an area you're interested in. So I think we're down to like the 1 minute mark, Brittany. Have we got any other questions coming in on the chat?
We had one which I responded back to Tamara Smith. If we don't use AET, do you ladies have an online record book to use? So I just told her that I use a generic SAE record book, and I put my email in there. If anybody wants it, feel free to email me and I'll send it to you. I'll have to find it on my computer, but I'll be sure to send it to you. And I'm going to copy and paste while Nina's finishing up. I'm going to copy and paste the keyword because I know we're getting close. And then I also have a survey link, aside from the one that we do on here, for the Teacher Ambassador Program. If you guys don't mind to fill it out, I would greatly appreciate it. It doesn't take that long. I just put the link in the chat and I'm about to send it out right now.
Okay. So as far as alternatives to AET, you know, there's great record keeping systems out there. Quicken, you know, Google Docs or Google, it's not Google Excel, what is it? Google Sheets. You know, you can create, it doesn't have to be anything that complicated, especially if you don't have students who are, if they're not interested in SAE degrees and awards, don't beat yourself up trying to make them use a system that is built for that. You know, teach them good sound record keeping, you know, good balance sheets, income statements, those types of things that are generated by business and industry, because when they get out into the real world, that's what they're going to use. So yeah, whatever is going to work for you, make it easy. You know, I'm old school. I had a paper pencil. I would probably even create that in a Google Doc these days, the same thing where I had students just simply list, what skills did you learn? How is this related to agriculture? And, you know, who was your supervisor? Because, you know, it can't be another student, you know, and then when I would do my touch bases with them, I had SAE day once a week. Brittany, you were sharing what you did. Once a week, once a month. Usually it was on a Tuesday because they never remember on Monday. I don't remember after Tuesday. And we would do one-on-one touch bases. I'd say, okay, tell me about your SAE. Bring me any artifacts, any projects, anything that I can actually visually see. If you're taking pictures of yourself, I need to see your face, not your backside. You know, those types of things. And that's how I did SAEs. It flowed very naturally for me. We did have online record books for those with immersion SAEs that got a little more complicated and might want to be doing some awards and recognition processes. But yeah, don't beat yourself up too badly on the record keeping system. Figure out what works for you, in my personal opinion.
And to piggyback off of Nina, the one that I was referring to in the chat is just a paper document, and it's very basic. Just like she said, description, pictures, logging in their hours is nowhere near like a proficiency application type of record book.
Yep, that makes it easier. Yeah, Steve mentioned QuickBooks. UT Extension provides some training on that, so take advantage of that. Code word for the session is bright. Yeah, okay, so John put it in there for me. Trying to scroll through. Did you put in your survey link, Brittany?
I did. I put it in there with the keyword, but I'm going to send the keyword again just in case because I see a couple of people asking.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I think we're past our time and it's going to shut us off here in just a little bit. So thank you everyone for tuning in and listening to Brittany and I talk about all the great resources that are available to help you with SAE. I hope you'll take advantage of this, especially, you know, this fall, the virtual world that we're living in, things that kids can do at home, you know, as simple as helping mom and dad balance a checkbook, you know, all those life skills that they need. Use that as their SAE. You know, it's going to be a hard enough year, I think, for everybody without making it worse than it has to be. And SAE could actually make it easier, I think. Thanks, Brittany, for letting me join in.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Nina. You did a great job, and thank you guys that tuned in. I greatly appreciate it. Hope it wasn't too crazy on my end with my internet connection. But if you guys,
I think we made it.
yeah, if anybody has any questions, feel free to email me. I put my email in the chat. Or, you know, if you want my phone number, that's fine. Email me and I'll send you my phone number as well. And I can definitely be contacted one way or another, and I'll be happy to help.
Oh, it says Alicia Burleson raised her hand. I have no idea how we handle a raised hand.
Let's see.
The code word is bright, like the sun is bright.
Yes.
All right, I don't know about the raised hand thing.
I don't either. I don't even know how to find the hand.
Okay, it's gone now, so I guess either she left or it quit. So I
Okay.
guess we'll call it. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye.